Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
It is Masters Week. Welcome into the Fairways of Life show from the PXG Custom Studios. You've never played like this before. PXG.com. What's going on, folks? Absolute delight to have your company. I know the big question to start the day with today is how and where you could find your coverage of the Masters, right? Because, and I'm not going to say it's complicated. Instead, I'll give it a positive spin. You got a lot of options. You have a lot of choices. All right, so let me go to like just regular tournament coverage because there's all kinds of coverage that circles around the event itself. This is tomorrow's round 1, round 2 Friday, of course, from 3 to 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. Right? ESPN's also going to have the par 3 contest today. That's at noon. But Thursday and Friday, that's what I mean about other events, whatever. 3 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Right? Saturday and Sunday from noon to 2 on Paramount Plus and 2 to 7 on CBS. And for those of you that are looking at it and going, I don't have Paramount Plus or whatever, obviously they want you to get it. But for those of you that don't have it, there are other options. I'm going to go over that in just a second. All right, you can hear Masters on the radio. SiriusXM has the coverage Thursday and Friday from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m., Saturday and Sunday from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. on the radio side. And again, I look at that and I go, why do we have to not hear 2/3 of the round? Why can't the radio be all day? But whatever, there's logistics that are beyond me in terms of how all of that works. The streaming side, this is why what I'm saying, if you're looking at anything that I'm talking about and going, that's coming on later than I had hoped, or I don't have this streaming service. The content from the Masters, including today, incidentally, is streaming on ESPN Plus, CBS Digital, DirecTV, Paramount Plus, the Masters app, Masters.com, and it starts from 8:30 a.m. So there's a ton of different content that you can see and ways that you can see it so that you get your Masters fill wherever you are. And I always ask this question every year is, are you the person that's sitting at work and you've got it streaming on some kind of a device? Maybe you have your little earbud in or whatever. So, what was that thing, Dom, that they used to have that the boss button or something where you hit it and it looks like you're looking at a spreadsheet instead of watching?
Yeah, that was March Madness. It was literally the boss button.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You'd be watching, college basketball, and then your manager's walking by and you slide to the top right and push a button, and then the whole thing turns into like a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I see you're working on a spreadsheet today, too, from the looks of things.
Very busy over here.
Yeah, there's a lot. You need to do the Costanza with the slamming the newspaper on the desk.
So much going on.
Yeah, you're really working hard there today. So anyway, that's how and where, that's kind of the broad brush bones of where you can get your coverage of the Masters, because today represents the eve of the 89th Masters. I hope that doesn't come as a severe shock to you, that it is upon us. So we had a shot, wasn't long ago, but it was when we started the TV side of the Fairways Life show, where we got a chance to talk to Stuart Sink. And Stuart Sink back in, 2000, Stuart Appleby, I beg your pardon. Stuart Appleby, 2007. And Stuart had a tie for 7th. In 2007 was the year that Zach Johnson won. Remember, it was kind of cold and nasty weather and all the rest. But Stuart played in a lot of them. He played in 14 different Masters. And like I said, he had that top 10 finish. So was coming into the Masters, and I wanted to ask him about what's the philosophy of playing the Masters, and then distinctively to this cut, because there's context to it, about Raes Creek. Here's Stuart Appleby.
And as a player, knowing where Raes Creek, or the most immediate portion of Raes Creek is, which can be many, many hundreds, if not half a mile or more away, knowing where that is, on a green especially, plays a huge role. I mean, that 5 or 10 degree difference and that course knowledge is probably like no other. I would say the only other course, which is very much the opposite, would be St Andrews, is knowing how to tack your way around St Andrews. But Augusta is all about where's Raes Creek, where's the slope, what markers can I use off the green, the second pine tree or the scoreboard on the front of 10, and all these things I honestly take dozens and dozens of rounds of golf before you become comfortable with it. And Raes Creek is one of those inbuilt knowledges you must have a great feel for.
Stuart, did you have a particular philosophy when you were at Augusta National, particularly when you were playing well at the Masters, in terms of how you were approaching your competitive play on either an individual hole or the golf course as a whole?
I guess if I answer that question a little bit backwards a bit, I think you'll be able to tell me, was it 1997 that Jack Nicklaus played really well, correct?
98, he played really well, yeah.
98, okay, so 98. So I played with him the first 2 days, and it was pretty awesome, no doubt about that, to see what looked like for a young man like me. This guy looked 100 and was just, playing unbelievable golf, and we all know about his record there. But I remember growing up in my amateur years when I was becoming a better amateur, I was playing at Royal Melbourne and so on, very fast, hard greens. I'd heard about Augusta my whole life, and I'm like, holy cow, Augusta's greens. And I got up there, and I think I shot like 1 or 2 over par, and the greens were lightning. But later on, I found out that was as quick as I'd ever got, and from then on, I was always sort of, okay, if that's Augusta, then I can understand Augusta. But what I didn't realize with Augusta, and I'd never grown up with a golf course at all that was more like St Andrews than Augusta, was just reading these, we talk about Raes Creek, these pulling forces that didn't always show up in your vision and feel. And I found Augusta very tricky. And the one year I played really well in 07 was the year that was really cold, which honestly I thought we were going to get this week. And it was really cold, and I decided I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to, I'm playing really well. I played well at, I think I finished second the week before at Houston to maybe Adam Scott. So I had some form, but I always found Augusta so hard to put your arm around and nurture and get comfortable with, because it's constantly tricking you. And I had a notebook on that course, on my yardage book. I had notes after notes after notes. I had 5 or 6 pins, where to hit it to that pin, where to be on this pin. Do I want to be long? Do I want to be right? Do I want to be left? And I had to commit to that. And I'd never had a course where I had to write basically all these instructions of where to hit the ball. And I miss Augusta from that point of view, but it was tactically such a difficult golf course to get around. And I found it very hard. Obviously, I didn't play well in that 07 year on Sunday. I was playing with Tiger, which is another animal altogether. But, playing 72 holes there well, or pretty much well, is just the toughest test, I think.
Really cool piece there from Stuart Appleby amongst the history, where you think about, he just casually mentioned the fact that, he was playing with Jack Nicklaus in 1998 when he played so well, and he was playing with Tiger in 2007. And I'm sure he's got a lot more stories people he play with, but just to salt those two in there as part of his story is amazing. Now, when he was talking about the influence of Raes Creek and what it meant, that's what I was talking about before we played the piece where I said context, because what you're about to see is the feature that we did on Raes Creek. What is it? What's its history?
This gorgeous stonework dates back to the 1870s, and it speaks to the interaction of the canal and Raes Creek. And when you think about Raes Creek and all the bodies of water that are famous in the game of golf, or things that span the bodies of water like the Swilcan Bridge, I can't think of another more benign, seemingly flowing little creek that has had a bigger impact on the game of golf than Raes Creek right here in Augusta.
The confluence of land and water have long been golf's ultimate canvas for its contrast, beauty, and grand scale. But in Augusta, Georgia, a small meandering body of water called Raes Creek has played a profound role in determining a champion at the Masters for nearly 9 decades. Whether a golfer's ambitions are consumed by its slowly churning waters and tributaries, or they benefit from a rare reprieve, history is often defined by its influence. But for as major a role as it plays in the first major of the year on the men's side of the game, Raes Creek is still only 10 miles long, hardly a force of nature.
This creek, you could be anywhere in the United States or worldwide and nobody would know what it is, but because of the tournament, you mentioned Raes Creek. Oh, I know where that is.
Artifacts from along its banks have been dated to Native American settlements from 3,000 to 10,000 years ago. Raes Creek got its name from an Irish immigrant who came to Augusta in 1734 named John Rae. Rae was highly enterprising, operating multiple businesses along the creek that today bears his name. Augusta became a bustling industrial center in the years leading up to the Civil War, much of it due to the creation of the Augusta Canal in 1845 to harness the hydropower it provided.
It backs water up into, of course, the Augusta National in front of 12 and behind 11 and in front of 12 Green. That little pond that's in there was really, there's a dam put in there by the National that backs that water up too and keeps it looking like a pond rather than a free-flowing stream like we see behind us here.
However, the critically important canal and Raes Creek moved in 2 different directions, meaning the creek as it exists today was in risk of significant alteration, but an ingenious aqueduct was ultimately built by an Italian artist from massive stones that stand today as a testament to the vision and determination that provided for the continued flow of a small creek that continues to make history.
Pretty interesting, isn't it, to hear the history of Raes Creek and what significance it played. When I first started to do research on Raes Creek, my curiosity was, did it have some use or some impact during the Civil War? Because so much of this part of the South, with just the Civil War at large and certainly with Sherman's march, played into the history that we continue to discuss. But I never found that evidence with Raes Creek. It seems that Raes Creek, as noted with thousands of years of artifacts around it and the way it was used in the development of Augusta as a metropolis such as it is, it's still a relatively small town, not as small as most people think, but relatively small. Then more modern times, of course, because of what role it plays with Augusta National and the Masters. Pretty fascinating stuff. All right, we'll be back with more of the Fairways Life Show. When we come back, I want to go down the road with a couple of different things. I'm curious, I don't know how you could send it to us, but what is your setup? Do you have any photos of your setup from past years at the Masters? I would love to see that if you had it. Right? I'd like to set, like, I told you about my setup. I can't find any photos of it. Maybe I'll keep searching in the break. But because in our place, we've got multiple screens, and I put up my computer, and I've even stream it on my phone. I like to get as many different. I make it look like a production trailer. So I've got a couple days of enjoying it that way before I have to fly up to NBC Sports and host all of the post-Masters programming through Golf Central and Golf Channel, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm curious if you guys have that. Send it to us. I'd like to see it. I think Dom showed us a little bit of his setup yesterday with his basement. Yeah, there it is. And where that camera angle was taken behind him is actually a flat screen TV. Could be watching a little bit of the Masters down there, telling his wife he's working on I'm working on the PVC plumbing pipes above the screen. It's all good. If you need me, I'll be down here.
No, I'm working on the show, Matt.
I'm working on the show. Well, what's that hammering noise that she's hearing?
Heavy production day. It's Masters. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, but won't that make noise when you hit the golf ball into the thing? What are you going to tell her? You're doing research on an equipment piece?
The screen there, it's kind of like it collects the sound.
Oh.
It's not that loud.
Oh, okay.
It's actually louder if you play ping pong.
Oh, that's what you tell her. We're all playing ping pong.
Listen, it's all been expertly designed, Matt.
Yeah. Sounds like it. All right, so that way I want to go down that road. Plus, some of the numbers we started getting into yesterday. I'd like to talk about that as well, particularly some of the numbers that you may not be thinking about, like some of these players that. Let me see if I can find one that stood out to me. Sepp Straka stands out to me. I told you that yesterday. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Minwoo Lee, but I don't know. Let me see Minwoo Lee, since I mentioned him. Yeah, he doesn't have any experience there, and we just heard unless he's going to do a Ludwig Aberg from last year, you just heard from Stuart Appleby that said it takes dozens of rounds to start to get the feel of the place. But I wanted to get into some of the golf data information that Dom put together yesterday with the trend tables, which I think is interesting and more. All right, back with more Masters talk after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
Innovation has been at the heart of every SuperStroke grip we've ever created, cementing our status as the #1 putting grip on tour. Now the best just got better. Introducing SuperStroke Synergy, our most advanced putting grips ever, for unmatched confidence to quiet your hands and your mind. Find the perfect grip for your game at superstrokeusa.com.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Think PXG is too expensive? Think again. Buy any 7 clubs and save 15%. Buy 10 clubs or more, get 18% off, or maximize your savings with 20% off when you buy at least 14 clubs. Exceptional PXG quality and performance customized just for you with the best personal support in the business. Visit PXG.com or a PXG location near you to learn more. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show in the PXG Custom Studios. You've never played golf like this before. And we are sitting the day before the start of the 9th Masters. Cannot wait. All right, so Dom, where do we go here with these stats? I asked you the same question yesterday, and I tell you where my curiosity is, as I was just saying before we went to break, is like some others. I don't want to call them dark horses. I think it's so unfair when you're talking about a limited field of people that get into the Masters. I know there's favorites. I'll grant you that. But I don't know. Dark horses makes it sound like some guy, walked in off the street and got a tee time. So where would you, let me throw it to you broad brush. Where would you like to start?
Andrew, I want you to start with the notable graphic that's got everything on it. because I think it's a good precursor to the discussion. Andrew's trying to find it. There's so much stuff in there. We've collected so much stuff. Have built so many graphics.
Yeah.
And we also have the odds. Yeah. He's still looking for it. But basically what it lists is the trends that I found on Data Golf that are fascinating, that are interesting with regards to who's playing good right now, who's not playing good right now. It's got the best putters that are playing right now on the tour. And again, those guys are playing in the Masters. And why don't you put up, well, he's trying to do it now. Andrew, put up Sepp Straka, because that's what Matt was asking about earlier anyway.
Yeah.
We've got so much stuff. There's plenty of stuff to go through.
Okay.
Here.
So Sepp
So
Straka.
the Nats, the stats that I put together very quickly again. True strokes gained is a number from Data Golf that is a little bit more accurate than what we would normally get from the PGA Tour. So it's a better representation globally of how a player is playing. It includes Live Golf stats. It includes DP World Tour stats, et cetera, et cetera. I also looked at how players played in the Masters in their last, you can see there at Sepp Straka has only had 3 starts, but I was looking traditionally at the last 4 starts that players had at the Masters and how they played overall and how they putted specifically. And then,
which, by the way, just to your point, I was wrong on Midwoo Lee when I quickly read his thing. He has starts at the Masters. He has top 25
Yeah,
at
no,
least.
we can go over it. There's a lot to go over. But
well, let's go, Sepp. Go ahead.
Your man, Sepp Straka, again, at the bottom, the last 2 stats that you see on the screen there, you've got how a player is playing right now, what I would call their hot statistic. Are they on fire or not? And then the pressure tool, which tells you when they're coming into the final round as defined by this year, how are they playing? And you can see, of all the people we're going through, I think I did profiles, Matt, on 15, 16, 17 guys. Of all the people we did profiles on, only 3 or 4 of them were positive strokes gained, true strokes gained in every category you're looking at on this screen.
Really?
Sepp Straka is one of those players.
Yeah, his true strokes gained total, he's 7th for the year. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's positive in everything. He's positive in all of it.
All right.
He's playing almost a half a stroke better.
What about
than you would
Brooks? We haven't
anticipate
talked
he would
about
play.
Brooks yet. 5-time major champion. Won the U.S. Open, of course, of 17 and 18.
Yeah, we got
Won the
we got a
18,
profile for Brooks.
19,
Andrew,
and
put the Brooks
23
one up.
PGA. 9 PGA Tour wins, 5 Live Golf Tour wins, 11 Master starts with 6 top 5s, 2 third-place finishes, 2 runner-up finishes at the Masters. True strokes gained total, positive .99. Call it a stroke. That's 15th on Live. True strokes gained putting, 23rd on Live. Which you're going to have to explain to me how these true strokes gained. I thought it was a comparison across the game of golf. Somehow they devised it so you could do it regardless of what league you were in. But this is on Live specifically.
That's how they get the true strokes gained number, is you can compare and contrast across tours, and then they list based on where your tour is.
Okay.
You sound unconvinced and
yeah, that
confused.
didn't really make any sense at all, but okay. The last 4 Masters true strokes gained total, plus 6-1. Last 4 Masters true strokes gained putting, minus .28. Trend table, minus .21. Interesting. And the pressure tool, as you'd expect from Brooks Koepka, is positive 1.4. Comments on Brooks?
I mean, to me, the fact that he's not playing well, specifically with Brooks Koepka, doesn't bother me. Because as you can see there at the top there, 5-time major champion, he is notorious. He's only got 9 wins, 5 of those are majors. He's notorious for only caring, and if you watch the Netflix documentary, he's even said as much. He's notorious for only caring in major championship. He can't find himself in a position on any of the tours that he's played on really caring that much. He can't get locked in because it's not a major. It doesn't feel like it matters to him. And all he cares about is major championships. He spoke about that, Matt, on Full Swing, on camera, and basically said, I don't care about any of this other crap. I just want to win major championships. So with that in mind, in his case specifically, Matt, the trend table doesn't really bother me that much. Is that fair?
Yeah. All right, let's see another one that's on another end of the spectrum, but maybe it's another player that you're like, well, current form, which is so critically important in these conversations. Maybe current form doesn't matter as much because you don't know what voices he's listening to in his head with Jordan Spieth. Jordan, as you guys know, he's 3-time major champ. He's won 13 times on tour. He has had 9 Masters starts, 3 top 10s, including 2 runner-up finishes, 19 and 20. Of course, he won the Masters in 15. All right, 2025 true strokes gained total of plus 1.02. That's 35th. That's very good. 2025 true strokes gained putting is plus 0.26, 57th, which is about where he tends to live. Last 4 Masters, true strokes gained total plus 1.07, slightly better than his average coming into this season, but I can guarantee you that was better than, because that's based upon past. In the past, he wasn't coming in with his true strokes gained that was equivalent to it, basically. So he's actually in a better position. Last 4 Masters, true strokes gained putting, negative 0.25, about a quarter of a point, which would amount to just over 1 stroke over the course of 4 rounds. Trend table, true strokes gained versus baseline, he's positive 6.66. So almost 2/3 of a stroke in the last 20 rounds, which is pretty good for Jordan Spieth. So all told, even though he's like become Jordan, like become classic with all this stuff, that actually is, I'd say pretty good for Jordan Spieth coming into the Masters.
It's very good. Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of these guys that I was building little profiles for, I was sort of surprised when I was slowly gathering the intel and the information on these guys. I was like, wow, there are some guys that I was anticipating doing worse that are doing better than I thought, and vice versa. Let me give you another name, Andrew. Can you bring up Min-Woo Lee's stats?
I was going to go Justin Thomas because we just talked about, but go ahead.
We can go to Justin Thomas.
Well, the only reason is because you're talking about Jordan Spieth. It seems like they're always tethered together.
Well, let's until we don't have to. I mean, Andrew's going to make us tether them together. Do you see this?
Yeah. He's a director. That's what he does. He directs. Justin Thomas, of course, a couple of major championships to his credit. 15 PGA Tour wins. 2 more than his friend Jordan. In your face. 9 Masters starts, 6 top 25s, and 1 top 5. His 2025 true strokes gained total is plus 1.55. That is 5th. Current form matters. 2025 true strokes gained putting, positive. He's 33rd. Last 4 Masters, true strokes gained total plus 0.63. Last 4 true strokes gained putting, minus 0.4. So his trend table versus baseline of his last 20 rounds is plus 4.4, which has to mean when I'm reading that, Dom, in the last 20 rounds, he's come off the boil a tiny bit compared to where he was because his true strokes gained total for the season is 0.155. But nonetheless, it's still good. The pressure tool, true strokes gain, is plus 2.5.
Which is a massive number.
It's huge. It's huge. So,
but the issue that I see with a lot of these players, and you heard Stuart Appleby talking about it, course knowledge, course experience, is if you look at the true strokes gained putting number in their last 4 Masters for most of these players, most of these profiles that I did, a lot of them are in the negative, on average, in true strokes gained putting at Augusta National. With past experience. Not a lot of them were in the positive, and very few of them were more than a half a shot, like plus 0.5.
What about Xander? We'll get to Min-Woo if said. What about Xander Schauffele? Because I saw comments he made yesterday. They were like, hey, you're not really playing that well coming off the rib injury, and everybody's kind of like discounting you. And he was like, yeah, I'm hearing all that talk. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I'm hearing all that talk, but me and my team, they're all telling me I can win. And I'm here. And let's see what happens. A couple major championships last year, as you know, the PGA and the Open. 9 wins overall in the PGA Tour. 7 Masters starts, 4 top 10s. He has a third. He has a runner-up. 25 true strokes gained total, plus 2-1, 94th. Meh. 2025 true strokes gained putting, 160th. He's ranked. Ugh. Last 4 Masters true strokes gained total, though, there's another one of those, as Dom calls it, massive number. 1.87. That's strokes, folks, per round. Last 4 Masters true strokes gained putting, positive 0.17. But that's the past. Currently, his putting is horrible. Trend table, true strokes gained versus baseline, negative almost 2. Whoa. Pressure tool, true strokes gained, plus 2.9, entering final round of 2025. Only 2 events due to the injury. Okay. That's not too good with Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, so again, I don't know how you balance, right, Matt? How do you balance Masters experience with everything else on that profile that's negative?
I mean, he's a multiple-time major
champion. At the Masters,
champion,
he traditionally plays well, but right now everything else is saying he's playing absolutely awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 2 shots around worse than he would normally be playing.
Right. And there is the chance, we have seen it. Gosh, we've seen it this season. Victor Hovland came in off 3 missed cuts and won the Valspar. Right? So it is possible that a player gets reacquainted with themselves. I think that happened in Houston with Scottie Scheffler. I think Scottie Scheffler became Scottie Scheffler again at Houston. He lost by 1 shot to Min-Woo Lee. Min-Woo Lee.
So can I?
Yes.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about 2 players, and I want to ask Matt 2 questions, one for each player.
Okay.
Okay. Show me Min-Woo Lee, Andrew.
That's where I was just going to go.
I know that, but don't relax. Everybody relax. So Min-Woo Lee is one of the handful of guys of the profiles that I've been talking about doing that is positive in everything. And of all the profiles I did, Matt, the next 2 guys I'm showing you, this guy, Min-Woo Lee, and the next one, have the highest putting true strokes gained at Augusta of the entire group.
Yes.
So Min-Woo Lee right here, you see he's almost a full stroke gained putting when he plays Augusta. And he's 3rd right now on tour in putting currently.
Yep.
And he's also playing a half a shot better, more than a half a shot better than he would normally be playing. And he literally is coming off his very first win. So he's a newbie, but he's not a newbie. The question is, with all of those stats in front of you, all the positive, he's literally at the top of the list in almost all of these categories right now. Literally.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Yes.
Or is the lack of experience, it doesn't matter?
No, it's enough. And he's got enough experience to know where to hit the ball. It's very good. And he's got.
So you think
Bo
Andrew?
Martin
Show
is
me
a
the
veteran
odds.
caddy. That's what you didn't have in there. You should have it in intangible lines.
So Min-Woo Lee is.
His odds aren't going to be incredible because he just won. So he's 40-1 coming into the week.
I mean, that's a pretty good bet right now based on what we're looking at and what we're talking about.
If he's still 40-1, these
40-1?
These are coming into the week. What's he currently?
40. No, this is what do you mean? It doesn't change. This is from yesterday.
Yeah, it could change.
It's not going to change. I'll show you.
All right.
Stand by. Stand by while I prove you wrong.
Buffering.
Min-Woo Lee's 50-1. His odds got worse.
His odds are going to go down now since you're talking about him. You're really sticking it to a lot of people
right now. I'm liking Min-Woo Lee as Andrew's making live adjustments to the odds. Andrew, I want you to put the next player up. That is an interesting player to me.
Min-Woo Lee, 100%. Yes.
When you look at that, before we move to the next player, you can leave the odds up, Andrew. Before we move to the next guy that I want to talk about, is what I just read there from Min-Woo Lee surprising? Where you're like, whoa, I didn't think he was. It's not surprising.
It didn't surprise me because remember, I was following him every single shot at the Houston Open. I saw what he was doing. The intangible with Min-Woo Lee is confidence. Min-Woo Lee
he's got that now in spades.
But he always had it. Min-Woo Lee has a bravado. He has a swagger that he carries himself. He is not consumed by the moment. Now, someone could take me to task on that and say, whoa. You telling me at 16 that when he blocked that thing into the lake, That wasn't about nerves? No, I don't deny that. That was 100% about nerves. But he got through that and he won. So Min-Woo Lee has a tendency to be a bit wild. That's not a stat you had on here. His true strokes gained total, he's 10th. But if you had a line in here on his driving, you wouldn't see as good a stat. However, you're talking about Augusta National. No real rough to speak of, as long as you don't hit it too far in the woods. But even there, you can recover. So, yeah, I like Min-Woo a lot. And
so here's the next guy.
At 50-1, I like him even more.
Here's the next guy, Andrew. Put up Will Zalatoris.
Will Zalatoris.
Very interesting here, okay? If you, again, one of, I think, only 3 guys
Hold
or
on
4
a second. Let me
guys
just
in
say
my
it for
entire
people who
profile.
are listening to a radio side. Will Zalatoris, he's won one time on the PGA Tour. He started the Masters 3 times. All of them were top 10s, including a runner-up in 21. His true strokes gained total for 2025 is plus 1.26. That's 25th. Very good. His true strokes gained putting is negative 0.12, 128th. Blah. Last 3 Masters true strokes gained total plus 3.12. Are you kidding me? And then his last 3 true strokes gained putting plus 0.81, which defies his current form with the putter in hand. The long one, as it were. Trend table, true strokes gained versus baseline, he is positive, 0.45, almost half a stroke. That's huge. That's just under 2 strokes in a tournament. The pressure tools true strokes gain plus 1.0 entering the final round in 2025. All right, so what observation did you want to make about Will Zalatoris? Is it another one like, can you do it?
2 observations. One, out of all the profiles that I did for all the guys, Will Zalatoris has the best putting numbers at the Masters.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Which is
Scheffler,
crazy because his putting...
Rory, Spieth, all of them.
Yeah, it's crazy because you look at what he's doing in this year.
That is the confusion, right? Is it horses for courses? Does he know something about Augusta, or is there something in his veins that matches up where he just putts out of his mind at Augusta? Because if you look at this profile and you see that putting number this year on tour at 128th, and you go, ugh. If that's his weakness, if that's the weak point, but for some reason or another, that's not a weak point but a strength at Augusta, how does he not win?
For a guy that was runner-up in 2021, for a guy that has the tools that he has, right, the way he hits, all the rest, then he has the back surgery and all the... He almost strikes me as like the beach boy nice guy Brooks Koepka, right? And at some point, does he go on a tear and basically win everything because he's got the skills to do it? Or will Will Zalatoris just be a guy that we look at and went, wow, we expected more from him? But if you're asking me the same thing as Min-Woo, like if you had set this question up and said, you got to take one or the other, can't take both, which one? It'd be Min-Woo for me, because 128th in current form putting is not a good indicator. And the only way that could be mitigated in terms of an argument against would be if you came in and said, wait a minute, I did his true strokes gained putting for the last 5 seasons, and even though, or let's do 4 because that's what you have, or last 3. I correct myself that
you
you have
played
in your
3 Masters, so that's why.
But what I'm saying is, you do that with this sheet. You have last 3. If we did it with the last 3 seasons to this point, and he was also 160th, 120th, 150th, 80th, negative ratings, negative true strokes gain number, then I'd say, yeah, there's something to that. But I have a suspicion, Dom, that's not what's going on here. I have a suspicion that his last 3 Masters true strokes gain putting, where he's 0.81, that he was pretty good coming in, or pretty close to something under 50 anyway in terms of ranking, pretty close to that number average that you're showing me. I'm not sure he's there right now. So for me, if again, I'm not trying to frame your question, but Min-Woo over Will.
Anything to the, because I know Spieth has said this publicly before. You think there's anything to the adage that players that are mechanical in nature, whether it's putting or with their swing, have to let go of that notion when they play Augusta because you have no choice but to be creative and you can't be thinking mechanics. And that tends to open things up for players who are overly mechanical, like Jordan Spieth, who's consistently played well at the Masters, who always says, I'm not thinking about my stroke when I'm at Augusta because I got too many other things going on. I just have to be creative with it.
Yeah, I think I've said this many times with Jordan, when the putter becomes a brush instead of a hammer, then he starts to become the artist Jordan that we watched win those 3 major championships. I'm not as convinced of that, honestly, as I used to be, because I think Jordan's getting in his own head more and more and more. But I think if there's a place where he can just let it flow and start to play golf instead of play shots, then I think that he's very much a player to keep an eye on, as we know, as we've seen. There's no revelation.
Andrew, can you put up the overall arching thing that I was talking about? There we go. Before we move on, Matt, I wanted to show this because, again, I think this is interesting. So the DG World Rankings are the Data Golf Guys World Rankings, which takes into account everything. And you can see there, taking that into account, you've got DeChambeau at 10th and Jon Rahm at 4th in the world, which is interesting. So I don't know what kind of stock we put in that. Also, if you look at the trend table that we've been talking about in all these guys' profiles, those 3 guys are in the field at Augusta, and they are basically playing the best golf right now in the world.
Over what period?
According to what they normally do. I mean, you can see Berger's playing more than a shot and a half per round better than you would expect him to. When you look at that top little corner and you see that trend table with Daniel Berger, do you look at that and go, well, that's interesting?
All right, let's take this. Let's connect the dots here then. What's Daniel Berger's odds right now?
I don't know. Andrew, put the odds up.
I'd like to know the odds for. Do you have Daniel Berger on? I remember seeing that yesterday.
He might not even be listed.
So,
Hold on, let me check.
Yeah, come on.
Let me check the sheet.
But I'm gonna want to know Joe Highsmith too.
125 to 1.
Well, that'd be worth.
Daniel Berger.
I'm not saying talk to your guy, but I'm saying, what about
Highsmith is 300 to 1.
Yeah, baby.
And Michael Kim is 150
now,
to 1.
when we're
talking about some real dough.
these are for wins, but you can also do top 10s. What was Michael again?
Michael is 150 to 1.
Wow.
Michael Kim. And these are, again, 2nd, 6th, and 10th. Those are not tour specific. That is World Tour. So if these are this is from a list of the best 200 players in the world in terms of how they're trending versus what you would expect right now in the last 20 rounds of golf globally. And you can see in the top 10 in the world, 3 of them are in the Masters. And that's the list right there. Those are from the top 10. Those are the best 10 players in the world right now versus what you would expect. Those 3 guys are on that list. That's really interesting. And then the list below that, you can see, Matt, the best 3 putters right now in the world are all in the Masters. And you can see there's Minwoo Lee's name at
and Nico too. Nico's
Nico, yep.
Was Nico on your stats or?
I didn't do a profile for him.
No. Your odds. I'm sorry. Your odds.
Oh yeah, hold on. I can get you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's on the. He's 400 to 1.
Nico.
And then that note at the bottom I thought was interesting. Rory McIlroy is the only player in the top 20 in all 4 of the major true strokes gained categories.
All right, but
in other words, he's the only one that doesn't have a glaring weakness.
Right. And then the Data Golf World Rankings are interesting too. I know you mentioned this already, but it is interesting. Scotty's number 1 and Rory's number 2, Collin's number 3. Jon Rahm is number 4. Then it goes Justin Thomas, Russell Henley, Shane Lowry, Xander Schauffele, and Patrick Cantlay, and then Bryson DeChambeau at number 10. Did you do a profile on Bryson? Did I see that?
I did. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, that I would like to see, yeah.
Now, he is one of the guys that, as Andrew is getting that Bryson DeChambeau one up, he is one of the ones that I was surprised at negatively. I was like, oh.
All right, let's go through this for you guys that are
doing as well as I thought he was doing.
Again, you can see it on the TV side, radio side. Bryson, of course, won the 20 and 24 U.S. Open. He won 9 times in the PGA Tour, 2 times in LIV. He has 8 starts in the Masters with 2 top 25s, 1 top 10. Last year he was tied for 6. 2025 true strokes gained total. He's 5th on Live at plus 1.59. There's nothing wrong with that.
You have to read the rest of the profile, Matt.
2025 true strokes gained putting. 34th on Live, which is a little bit deceptive because it's not the same relative gauge.
No, it's not deceptive at all. It's bad.
That's what I'm saying.
He's
34th.
negative strokes gained,
right.
and there's only like 50 guys that are even ranked.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's bad. It's very bad is what it is.
For putting. So his putting is
Yeah, but he also, look at his Masters numbers. They're crap.
last
They're
4
both
Masters
negative.
true strokes gained total negative 0.325. Last 4 Masters strokes gained putting negative 0.06. That's almost break even. Come on. Trend table, true strokes gained versus baseline, negative 0.29 last 20 rounds. And the pressure tool, true strokes gained, negative 0.30.
He's one of the few guys I did a profile on who is negative under pressure, because I'm looking at mostly the top-tier guys, the guys that have the best odds at the Masters. And he is currently, this year, playing bad under pressure.
I like
he's
him, though.
also playing bad
I
right
like
now,
Bryson because I think
and he's also putting bad at the Masters, and he's putting bad on the Live Tour.
I think I like
he's playing
him.
bad.
I like him. I just like him because I think he has tools that the others don't have. So let me ask you this way.
You're like a Duke fan.
There
You're
we
like,
go.
I just like him.
Yeah. Well, here's the question.
It's going to work out, I promise.
No, here's the thing. It didn't work out, though. The Gators. Congratulations, Gators. My wife is a Gator. Andrew, go to camera 1 for a second. This is Donna's right here. This is my wife's. Congratulations, Donna. She won the Masters Par 3 competition for the women's division right there. Congratulations to her. Congratulations to the Gator. She's a Gator. So here's the question, Dom. And this is based on the way that you gave us the. You didn't do it with it was indiscriminate. You just were doing here's the players
I had no
that
agenda.
did it.
I looked at
but
the
there's
players
2 of them
that were.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I got it. But there's 2 of them next to each other. Ludwig Aberg and Bryson DeChambeau. Ludwig. He's won a couple times on the PGA Tour. He's won on the European Tour. He has that 1 Master start last year. He's runner-up.
Andrew, put Ludwig's stuff up. We have that.
Right? 2025 true strokes gained total. He's 30th, positive 1.08. 2025 true strokes gained putting. Negative 0.02. He's 105th. Last Masters, because he only has 1. True strokes gained total, plus 4.11. Last Masters, true strokes gained putting, positive 2.08. Trend table versus baseline, last 20 rounds, negative 0.21. Pressure to true strokes gained, plus 2.7. Which is very impressive. But here's my question. You can only pick one. Ludwig or Bryson at the 2025 Masters, who's going to finish higher on the leaderboard? Come on, Dom. Who you got?
You're asking me?
I'm asking
Ludwig
you.
Ludwig will finish higher.
Oh.
I would say that's a definitive statement.
I'm not going that way. I'm taking Bryson.
Luckily, this isn't on the record anywhere.
Oh no, it's right here. It's going to exist forever. In the digital space, there'll be aliens watching this thousands of years from now going, oh, what idiots these guys are.
All right, let me
I'm
read
going
this.
Bryson.
Bryson, fine. You're wrong. It's all on tape. It's going to be, we'll see.
Tape.
Yeah, whatever. It's all live. The question of the day yesterday was who's going to win the Masters, and that's also the question today. So we're going to see what's changed. Yesterday, the audience said 18% Scotty Scheffler, 27% Rory McIlroy, 9% said Collin Morikawa, and 46% said the other. They took the field, and they listed a lot of other names in there, and I will go through that in a little bit. I actually kept some of those.
All right.
Thank you, Andrew, for that. Today, same list. Who will win?
Yes.
Scotty's at 16%, similar percentage. Rory's at 28%.
Rory went up,
similar
Scotty went
percentage.
down. Got it.
Yeah. Morikawa's at 0 right now.
Wow.
0 votes for Collin Morikawa.
Wow.
Andrew, put Collin Morikawa's stats up. He was one of only 3 guys that was positive in all the categories, folks.
Collin Morikawa, 2-time major champion, 6 PGA Tour wins, 4 European Tour wins, 5 Masters starts with 3 top 10s and a tie for 3rd last year. True strokes gained total 2025 second at positive 2.91. That's almost 3 strokes per round. 2025 true strokes gained putting. This is Collin Morikawa we're talking about. Positive 0.33. That ranks him 46th. Last 4 Masters true strokes gained total 2.80 positive, almost 3 again. Last 4 Masters true strokes gained putting positive 0.48. Trend table true strokes gained baseline plus 0.69. Pressure tool true strokes gained positive 2.4. That is very, very impressive.
Again, he was one of the ones that surprised me when I did it.
How good he was.
I was like, wow, he is.
Yeah, you've always been very anti-Collin Morikawa.
I wouldn't say that, but I would say he surprised me. We've got Bob writing in. He says Ludwig's going to win. He's the guy for sure. We've got folks saying
I don't know how he's going to win if he
an
finishes
excellent
behind
bet
Bryson. Who?
Because Patrick Reed is a great bet because his odds are crap. It's very hard to go past Scotty and Rory, but I think Bryson and Sergio are in good form.
Bryson.
And Derek Wright. Someone else, another vote for Bryson. They're looking at these stats. A couple votes for Sergio Garcia. Interesting. I didn't do a profile on him, but he is playing pretty well right now.
Yeah, recent win.
On the Live Tour. Now, I got at least 3 people writing in saying Joaquin Niemann. Joaquin Niemann is not listed on those world rankings that I put there, but he is 11th. He's the next guy in line right now.
And what are his odds?
11th. His odds are, Andrew, let's see what yours says. Let's see if it's changed.
Because remember, the odds in our graphic are coming into the week, which is basically yesterday, so it's not like it's aged bread. But
Joaquin Niemann's 30-1. He is still 30-1. So Joaquin's at 30-1 right now, for better or worse, depending on how you look at it. Now, we actually have had someone write in today, which is interesting because I did do a profile on him. Russell Henley.
Yeah.
Andrew, can you put Russell Henley's graphic up? I'd like Matt to read through that. Because, again, here's another one that is pretty surprising, Matt. He's the 4th player of all of, like, the 16 profiles that's positive in everything.
He's calling you right now. No, that's Collin Morikawa. Like, what the hell? No, it was Morikawa. Oh, you don't think I can do it?
All right, go ahead, read that.
You don't think I can do it? You've been against me the whole time. All right, Russell Henley, 5 PGA Tour wins, 8 Master starts with 4 top 25s and 1 top 5, mind you. 2025 true strokes gained total plus 2.04. He's 4th. 2025 true strokes gained putting plus 0.62, 14th. Last 3 Masters true strokes gained total plus 1.69. That's huge. Last 3 Masters true strokes gained putting plus 0.56. That's over half a stroke a round. Trend table true strokes gained versus baseline plus 0.59. Hello. Pressure tool true strokes gained plus 1.7 entering the final round of 2025. Yeah, that's impressive. That's very, very impressive.
But here's the problem. Is this a problem? Here's the question. He is almost outside the top 100 in total driving. He is not long. He is unequivocally short.
What is he? What is he in total driving?
In total driving, he's like 90-something on tour. His accuracy is obviously great. He's probably top 20, top 15 in accuracy. But my question is he long enough? Is that a big enough problem? Because since they've lengthened the course over 20 years. When you look at all those stats, and it's positive everything, he's playing great, and his odds are decent. He's obviously in great form. But if he's 15 yards shorter than everybody else coming into all the holes, is that enough to be such a big problem at Augusta?
Well, given
it can't be overcome.
Given his performance and recent performance, I mean, you got to remember that these numbers that we're looking at for 2025, you're coming into the Florida stretch where Bay Hill's a monster. The Players is a monster. I'm talking about length and the demands there. So there's gonna be courses that he's played already this year that he's obviously doing very well on. So yeah, I would say length is always an asset, full stop. But can he overcome it because of his ball striking right now and his putting is good? 14th true strokes gain. How come the tour doesn't use these true strokes gain numbers from the Data Golf guys, by the way? It seems like these numbers are more comprehensive.
They are. I obviously I can't answer that. I mean, I'm sure there's proprietary stuff across the board on both sides. Everybody's worried about this, that, and the other. But Since I've discovered it, I'm all about some of these. I love the trend table. It's really cool to have pressure stats and to have trend table where you can look at a player and see who is, like, literally statistically, who is playing the best golf right now, period. And you can see there on the graphic, Andrew put back up, Daniel Berger is literally playing the best in the world right now versus what you would anticipate he would be doing.
Yeah.
A shot and a half, but that's crazy.
Yeah, but again,
he's hot. He's on fire right now.
Yeah, but wins are what define, to me, who's playing the best, with all due respect. So he's
Minwoo Lee just won.
So
but he's
playing.
He doesn't have a major. He doesn't have a pile of wins.
But what I think you're telling us with what Daniel's doing, and no disrespect to Daniel, because his odds are good and he's worth a look. But what I'm saying is he's playing the most consistently good golf. But consistently good golf isn't as good as the flash of greatness that causes you to cross the line to victory. And ultimately, that's what you're going to be judged by. Nobody's going to look back in 50 years and go, yeah, he was the best trend line player for the entire season. Oh, how many times did he win? Oh, he didn't. If he starts winning,
Andrew, put the odds up one more time for Matt, please.
Your old moldy bread odds?
Yeah, right. It hasn't changed really at all. But you look at this list,
Except
Matt.
for Minwoo Lee. Didn't he go to 50-1? Who went to 50-1?
Remember my question of the day, Matt. Scotty, Rory, Collin, or the field? If I group Scotty, Rory, and Collin together, and it's one of those, any of those three versus the field right now.
Yeah.
Who do you take?
I'd take Scotty, Rory, and Collin.
So you think odds are one of them will win versus the field?
Well, you got Scotty, who's won 2 out of the last 3, right? You got Collin, who finished
great right now.
I'm telling you, I saw something at the Houston Open, so I'm going on the eye test. 2 strokes, true strokes eyes, which is a stat I heard they're working on. And you've got Rory that's playing coming in, I think, the best golf of his career. And you've got Collin, who's an absolutely brilliant ball striker, who's hanging in there with his putting. As I've said a million times, he's a guy that if he gets to somewhere around 30th with his putting, if my memory serves me, I got to go back and look at it. On your chart, he's, I think, 46th. Does that sound right? I'll find it. Thanks for the help, Dom. Yeah, he's 46.
I'm just looking at these odds. I'm just fascinated by all of this.
So all I'm saying is that if he has a week where he's just a couple of putts better than his average, Collin Morikawa is going to win. So, yeah, I'm going to take those 3 over the field. And you scoff at me, so you're obviously taking the field.
I am absolutely taking the field, yeah.
Fool.
I think that I don't think Scotty Scheffler is as big a favorite as everyone thinks he is right now.
Right.
And we've talked about it ad nauseum on this show, the scar tissue surrounding Rory. I don't know where to place that. But it's pretty bunched, in my opinion. If you look at the left side of those odds, it is pretty bunched. And if you listed a bunch of these players, this is my eye test, my ear test. If you said to me on Monday morning, Brooks Koepka won, Victor Hovland won, Minwoo Lee won, Will Zalatoris won, Russell Henley won, I wouldn't be surprised by any of those names.
No,
I wouldn't
wouldn't either. That wasn't the question.
Yeah, but to me, that's what makes it so fascinating this year. It feels like it really is pretty wide open. I feel like there's 20 guys that if they won, I'd be like, yeah, I could totally see it happening. Whereas, if you look 5 years ago, a lot of times going into the Masters, it feels like it's a 3 or 4 horse race. It's like, one of these 5 guys is probably going to win. It doesn't feel like that this year. Because you got Xander's not playing his best right now. Scotty doesn't feel like he's playing his best right now. It just feels like there's a lot of guys that could win. And I wouldn't be surprised if any of them won. I could make a list of 20 guys, and I wouldn't be surprised with any of them. That wasn't the case 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, I don't think.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's more wide open?
Yeah, I do.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
George is getting excited. All right, we'll be back with more of the Fairways of Life show after this. When we come back, I want to go down the road with hearing from a couple of Masters champions which I think is fascinating when you get the insight of someone that's actually crossed that line. And a look at when I was talking about the development of Augusta and the Civil War and what all that is. There a connection there? Oh, there's a connection there. Stay with us.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
At PXG, we believe you get more out of your golf clubs when you're custom fitted. This ensures that every PXG club in your bag is completely dialed in to deliver maximum performance for your swing. Golfers of every skill level should go through this process, and PXG's judgment-free fittings will make sure you're completely comfortable and satisfied. Book your fitting and see what we can do for your game. PXG, you've never played like this before, period.
Innovation has been at the heart of every Super Stroke grip we've ever created, cementing our status as the #1 putting grip on tour. Now the best just got better. Introducing Super Stroke Synergy, our most advanced putting grips ever, for unmatched confidence to quiet your hands and your mind. Find the perfect grip for your game at superstrokeusa.com.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. There it is. It lies in waiting. Yesterday, they had to kick everybody off the course because of the bad weather. So there'll be a lot of people kind of cramming for the exam over the next couple of days. But then you got the par 3. You know, you got all that you got to deal with. All right, so I promised you that we'd hear from couple of major champions, and we will. Let's start with Mark O'Meara as he recounts the magical year for him that was 1998 at Augusta National.
Well, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking. Certainly, you got to keep an eye on the leaderboard, and we were. And I just remember when we were standing, Fred and I were in the final group, and we were standing on the 15th tee waiting to hit our tee shots, the par 5. At that time, I was 6 under, Fred was 6 under, and David Duval had posted 8 under. And, you don't know exactly what everybody's doing in front of you, but you kind of keep an eye on it. And Luckily, I hit a good drive on 15 and knocked on the front edge of the green and 2 with a 3-iron. Fred hit it to the right off the tee. There were mounds between 15 and 17. All those trees necessarily weren't there like they are today. And Fred hit it over the trees with a 6-iron to about 8 feet. He made eagle to get to 8 under. I made 2-putted for birdie to get to 7 under. And then on 16, I hit a good tee shot on the par 3. Had about a 16-footer. Fred made a par. I hit a good putt. It just missed on the low side. I remember walking off the green, and Jerry Higginbotham, who was caddying for me at the time, I remember tossing my golf ball to Jerry and said, Jerry, that's as good a 6-iron as I can hit. That's as good a putt as I can hit under these circumstances. I said, give me another ball. I'm going to birdie the last 2 holes. Now, only he heard that, and I said that, but I am not an overconfident person, and I have no idea, Matty, why I said that. It came out of my mouth. And I hit a good drive on 17. Fred hit a good drive. I hit a 9-iron right over top of the pin to about, 14 feet behind the hole. I felt Fred made par. I felt comfortable over that putt. I felt like I was going to make that putt. I was nervous, but I wasn't that nervous. And I hit a good putt, and it went in for birdie to get to 8 under. And lo and behold, we're on the last tee. And David's in Butler Cabin with Jack Stevens, who was the chairman of Augusta National at the time. And Fred and I are both 8 under par with, playing the final hole. And I hit a good tee shot off the tee. Fred hit it in the left bunker. From there, Fred hit it in the right front bunker, and I hit it to that 18 feet pin high right of the hole. And as we walked onto the green, I remember how nervous I was. The people all stood up. I needed some water. My mouth was super dry. Wow. And I thought to myself, you know what? Fred's going to hold his bunker shot. I'm going to have to make this putt to tie him. And I think sometimes those are the mind games you have to play out there. Sure. I never walked onto the green thinking, okay, Mark, here, you got this putt. You make this putt, you get the green jacket, you're going to win the Masters. You just can't get ahead of yourself. You have to, even though I'm so nervous, you got to stay somewhat in the moment and go through your routine. And so Fred hit a really good bunker shot to about 4.5, 5 feet. I marked my ball, and when I was lining it up, Matty, my self-talk was, hey, look, Mark, this is what you play for. I mean, sooner or later, you're going to have to make a putt to win the Masters, whether it's here or whether it's on 10 or whether it's on 11. And the longer you let this go on, the more the odds go out of your favor. So why not just try to hit a good putt here? I mean, so that was my, as I did the 360 around the hole, looking at it. And, I got over it, and I could see it was going to break about a cup and a half from right to left. And when I hit my putt 2 feet off the putter, I mean, I felt like I made a good stroke, and I was watching the ball, and I thought, you know what? I hit a good putt. And that's all you can hope for. And I'm watching it. The fans stand up on both sides, and it's going down there. And the last 1.5 feet, I'm thinking, my God, it's going to go in. And then it started breaking to the left, and my last thought was, please don't lip out. And when it went in the hole in the left center and dove into the hole, my arms and hands with my ping answer 2 putter went up in the air. And to be fair, Matt, I was more in shock and disbelief as to what the hell just happened. And I realized I'd won the Masters. And it was special, as you know, and your viewers probably know. I mean, Tiger had won in 97. People know of our relationship back then. And to have Tiger Woods put the green jacket on me in Butler Cabin as now the 1998 Masters champion, to finally break through and win my first major. And at that time, Matt Kuchar was down there too, because he was low amateur. So it was a dream Sunday. And when you win, you always hope that you can do something well, as opposed to somebody else, maybe messing up. So that's what I took most pride in.
Amazing stuff, isn't it? From Mark O'Meara. So the other thing that I wanted to get to, you heard me talking about Augusta, and I was doing the investigation when I did the feature on Raes Creek and the connection to, the town of Augusta and the significance, and did it have significance relative to the Civil War. And once I started looking into just that question, even though I admitted to you, my search started with it in the context of Raes Creek, I found out that the connection was so much more profound.
At the onset, the Confederacy was full of anticipation while planning to employ a strategy of outlasting the political will of the North to fight a war that would be long and cost a great deal. But with the Confederate attack on Fort Sumter on April 12, 1861, a new reality set in. With barely a month worth of gunpowder insured,
the question of where the Confederacy would find massive amounts of gunpowder necessary to fight a large and extracted war became paramount. Jefferson Davis appointed former U.S. officer Major George Washington Raes of North Carolina to resolve this monumental and nearly impossible challenge.
It was crucial because otherwise they had no way of getting gunpowder other than barricade runners down on the coast to steal it from or take boats, capture boats from the Union. That they had a gunpowder plant up in the Northeast, and so if without it, it wouldn't have lasted as long as it did.
Raes, a graduate of West Point, had extensive experience in engineering with knowledge of chemistry, geology, and mineralogy. He settled on building the Confederate powder works along the banks of the Augusta Canal, utilizing highly advanced engineering to build a facility from scratch.
From the start to finish, they had it up and operating in 7 months.
Raes constructed a series of 26 buildings that would eventually stretch for 2 miles along the Augusta Canal to accommodate the sequencing and production of gunpowder. With the canals as his means of transport, the facility was not only highly efficient, but huge. In fact, it was the largest single Confederate industrial project of the entire war. The refinery was the principal structure and modeled after London's House of Parliament, centered around a 150-foot tall chimney. The powder works was so efficient that at the end of the war, it had a surplus of 70,000 pounds of gunpowder. When the war ended, bricks from the powder works were used to construct a mill that stands to this day, although in disrepair, with the original chimney remaining as a reminder of what was. In the world of golf, Augusta is known for hosting the first major championship of the year and for some of the most dramatic moments in the history of the game. But I'm standing right now at the base of that massive chimney along its walls. And when you think about the fact that I'm literally touching the bricks from the Confederate powder works and the role that it played in the Civil War, the only thing that I can think of that's kind of blowing my mind is, gosh, if these walls could talk. Pretty amazing, isn't it? It's one of the neat things about these old buildings. And as we were playing that feature for you, Don was in my earpiece saying, you know, what's that building being used for now? It's basically, when we went in, we had to go through a locked gate that the Canal Authority has authority over that structure. But I will tell you, just to throw it out there, from what I've heard from multiple sources, is that space is very haunted. I'm just saying. All right, so another Masters champion that we had a chance to chat with recently was none other than 2007 champion Zach Johnson. Earlier in the show, you heard Stuart Appleby talking about how rough the weather was that year, so rough that it actually impacted Stuart's decision of how he was going to play the golf course. It did with Zach Johnson as well. Did the weather and the fact that it wasn't really a year that aggression would necessarily pay off, pave the way for Zach Johnson? Not sure, but a victory at Augusta National certainly paved the way for the rest of Zach Johnson's career. How much did it change your life after winning the Masters?
Professionally, it certainly did change. Obviously, there's an element of security involved that I didn't know existed. Whether you're talking about just the underlying financial base, but specifically from a longevity standpoint, what it garners you. I would like to think, I mean, you'd have to ask the others, those that are closer in my inner circle. I hope I didn't change too much, you know? I mean, I also am human. Maybe my head gets a little bit big every now and again, but I got a great wife and great people around me, and I think they'd slap me silly if I did. So I hope I didn't change in that regard. But in the world of golf and the world of my profession, expectations and excessive opportunity came my way. And I would say those opportunities arguably are all worthy, but learning how to say no after that week was probably, and sometimes still is, the hardest thing for me to do. Mm-hmm. Again, there's substance there, there's meat there, they're probably worth my time, but I can't spread myself too thin. It's not fair to all the priorities I have. So hopefully those things come back around and you can get to them. The hardest thing since that point was saying no. And because prior to it, you say yes to everything. Whether it was a speaking engagement, an outing, whatever the call was, you do it. But if you're still going to go out and compete and try to compete at a level that you want to pursue, then you have to learn how to say no and keep the main thing the main thing. So, yeah, that was hard, but I'm grateful for it because I've learned a lot and I've grown from it.
Zach Johnson giving us some insight into the impact of his victory at Augusta National. Zach, to his credit, is a multiple-time major champion. The other major he won was none other than at the old course of St. Andrews. How cool is that to have on your CV? All right, folks, I hope you guys are as excited as we are about everything that lies in store. As I mentioned, today is the eve of the 89th Masters. 8:30 a.m. is when all the streaming options kick off for the Masters. Coverage at noon on Wednesday of the par 3, and then coverage throughout the rest of the week on ESPN. The first 2 rounds, predominantly CBS, over the weekend. Enjoy. Bye for now.